Before I start, this is something that I've started with the 9 o'clock service. The 9 o'clock service bulletin is a simple version. And on the back, I have lines with fill in the blanks that have to do with answers going along in the sermon. I do this because I've seen this before in other churches. And I do this because as baseball season comes around, I find that if I keep scoring a game, meaning writing down every little play, then I pay far more attention to the game than if I don't. 6, 7, 8 outs get away from me if I don't write in, okay, this guy grounded to the shortstop. I don't know if that makes any sense to very many of you, but I'm thinking about how many of you look at the scripture reading in the bulletin while we're reading the scripture reading of the day? How many of you look at the screen while we're reading the scripture reading of the day? Yeah, a lot more. I'm thinking about, instead of having the scripture reading in the bulletin, having the lines with blanks in it that you can fill out, okay, this is what's going on as we read through the sermon. And the sermons will be even more riveting, if that's even possible. I'm not even sure if that's possible. But we're going to go for a ride. We're going to see if we can do it. Oh, wait, hang in there. What you have here is Hannah with her son Samuel meeting Eli the high priest. It's nice for the mother to introduce the child to the minister, and the minister says nice things. Much, much deeper story going on with this one. In the setup in the beginning of 1 Samuel, you have a man named, I don't know if it's Elkanah or a fancy, but boys from South Carolina say Elkanah. He's got 2 wives, at least. And this is the practice then. As we have war after war after war, as we are trying to grow our community, we have many, many wives, and those wives have children. Elkanah has 2 wives, at least, Peninnah and Hannah. Peninnah has children. Hannah has none. Now, today we talk about different types of medical conditions and ways to overcome those medical conditions in order to have children. And we say, well, sometimes you can, and sometimes you can't. In that day, you say, God must have punished you. Now, even with a lot of our medical technology, we can still let that slip into our heads, can't we? When something goes on in our life, we think God must be punishing us. Well, Peninnah reminds Hannah all the time that she has children and Hannah does not. Now, they travel to Shiloh, which is before Jerusalem, is the holy place. They travel there 1 to 3 times a year to celebrate a holy festival. What's a place you travel once a year? You go there once a year all the time, every year. Disney. What's another one? Where do you go for Thanksgiving? On a cruise. How about cities, destinations? What? Okay. Where else? Philadelphia. What's it like to make that drive there? Long drive. Is it fun? Is it fun to go? Could be, could not be. We've pounded this thing. It can be hard to travel. Well, if you're traveling for a very holy day, you are anticipating the high-level religious experience of going to Shiloh and giving an offering to God. Well, every time they go, Peninnah mocks Hannah and says, "You don't have any kids." Now, would you want to go if you were Hannah? If you came to worship here and someone mocked you every time you came, would you come again? What if it was a relative? You see, our greatest example here has got to be the Bendur tree, right? You got a good chance of any number of family members joining together in one place. If one of them mercilessly mocked the other one every time they came here, you're not going to see that other one again. Well, Hannah is devastated at dinner one night, and she can't eat. You ever so devastated you can't eat? It's funny, in Sunday school, once. I can always eat. She's so devastated she can't eat, so she goes to the temple. by herself. She says something that we have all said before, except the blanks are different. She says, Lord, if you will just, if you've ever said this, then I will. Okay? We've filled in the blanks a little bit differently. Her fill in the blank is, Lord, if you will give me a son, I will give him to your house. She's saying, if you give me a son, I'll take him to the temple and give him to the temple. Eli is the priest that's there, the high priest. Eli witnesses her praying so fervently that he thinks she is under the influence of alcohol. He says, you don't need to be here in that state. You need to come back when you're feeling a little bit better. She says, it has nothing to do with alcohol. I'm just praying so passionately because I want a son. And if I get a son, I will give him to God. Eli says, blessings upon you, go forth from this place. Well, guess what? Hannah has a son. Guess what this picture is about? She's bringing him to give him to the temple. Now, when you have made that fill-in-the-blank promise, and then you have to follow through after you've been given the thing and you're part of the negotiation, do you struggle to hold up your end of the bargain? For instance, if Katie and I take the girls to Target to get a shower gift for Aaron, and they see candy, and they say, or a coloring book, and we say, nah, and we really want the coloring book. All right, your rooms and the playroom are dirty. If we get this, we want you to clean up your room and the playroom. Now, if they get the thing, candy would be better. I'd change the story and make it candy. If they get the thing and they eat the candy, and they've already consumed their end of the deal, you got a hard time getting them to hold up their end of the bargain, right? Seinfeld had a great bit on this. He said, he goes to the meal and he gets the starters and he gets the whole meal and he gets the drinks and everybody's having fun. And then this bill comes and I'm already full and you want me to pay for food? This is silly. You want me to hold up my end of the bargain. Well, guess what? Hannah's the exception. Hannah says, I'm going to take him there. Now, out of that nasty, nasty environment where I don't know what you would call Penina, her wife-in-law, something like that. Her wife-in-law is mercilessly mocking her. She still finds a way to serve God in the way that she promised. She doesn't fall to the level of her wife-in-law. Now, she takes him to the temple where there's not great things going on at the temple either. Eli has two sons, Hophni and Phinehas. Now, this is the example I used in 9. If on Sunday mornings we took up the offering and we had the 2 plates and then there was an orange bucket, and as you came forward to give to these 2 plates, I would say, okay, put a little slice into the orange bucket first. And then you saw me walking out with the orange bucket on a weekly basis. How would you feel about that? Not great. You probably wouldn't stay for very long. If you did, you would never give again.